Good morning, boys and girls, and welcome back to the southern wing of the Stink Bug Works. This morning I have some cool stuff to share with you. I've been inventing shit. And I've been up at the desk playing with AutoCAD and measuring this and measuring this and kind of measuring this. And look at here, look at here, look at here. I have come up with something that will work. Is it the final design? Haven't really settled on it. This area is still open for discussion, but here is the motor and the shaft and the prop. And you see I put the very center of that prop. I need a sharper pointer. I put the very center of that prop right at the very trailing edge of the sponson. And so we're all level here. Here's what we've got. I used this same piece, except I flipped it over to move the turn fin to where the CG is, or where the CG is shown on a set of plans that I stole. And I always think the turn fin should be on the CG. It just makes sense. And I may even be able to use the same turn fin. Then I'm going to build a small wing about this long and that wide. And how I will do this is I'll cut a rib, actually 4 ribs. I'll make 4 ribs. I'll put holes in them for the boom tubes and put a Depron spar in there, and I'll notch the spar in such a way that the boom tube will seat in there. And I'm going to make 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 separate parts that will all go together. So I'll have a sponson, a wing, a tub, another wing, and another sponson. And they'll all just go together as a unit. So the wings are just going to be dirt simple. I'm going to cut a rib for each end. Now remember, the span of this wing is shorter than the cord, so the wing's only going to be, this long and that wide. So it'll have a rib at each end, and I'll put a solid aluminum tube through the whole thing, except I'll leave room for this part that sticks in. So I'll make all that work. So it'll all just kind of butt together, and then how I'm going to assemble it is I'll take a bit of that adhesive shrink tube and put on just, that much with that much hanging over. The adhesive shrink tube sticks pretty good, so I'll glue some on both ends, run these through, put another one on this end, heat it, and melt it. It only has to do a couple of runs. It's a proof of concept thing. And to that end, now you guys are gonna like this idea. This is a cool idea. There are areas where this carbon fiber tube, for example, is going to attach to the front ski and it's going to have to be strong. So I'm going to build the front ski sort of like that much of this sponson. It'll be two thicknesses here, and before I glue it together, I'll carve a hole for the carbon fiber rod to, go down in there. And here's where it gets good. What's the last thing you want to use to build a boat? White glue or Titebond. Why? Because if this soaks in water, it turns back to glue instead of the hardened stuff that's holding your stuff together. But if you're only running it for, a minute or so, and then it's out of the water for days, and then it's back in the water for a minute or so, it's okay. Now, why do I want to use this? Because when this is all said and done, I want to salvage. I'm going to use white glue to glue this in because I want to salvage it. I salvaged this from the previous iteration of the DeproJet, and I used that contact cement, that German Juhu contact cement, and it came off pretty easy, but it took some solvent. And I kind of like the idea of just using water. This whole boom arrangement here, I just throw it in a bucket of water, and the carbon fiber tube will come out of the sponson like it was never glued in. And that way I can reuse it. Now the plan will be, one of two things will happen with this. It will work, and in which case I'll prepare up some plans and maybe laser cut some key parts and make it available to the public. If it doesn't work, I'll go hide under some rock. So, but here's my plan. Here's my plan. So, like these sponsons were 2 pieces. The new sponsons will be 2 pieces. You just see I've kind of moved this trailing edge back a bit, back a whole lot, and changed this shape. But essentially, the sponson's going to be real easy to make, quick and dirty, just like these. The front sponsons will be the same thing. The only difference is it'll have the hole for the boom, the carbon fiber. What do we call this? It's not a boom tube. I don't know. It's the ski tube. We'll come up with a clever name. So there you are, boys and girls. I'm thinking it's coming together. Oh, how the boom tube's going to work. Get a load of this. Up at this end, wherever this boom tube ends, I'll put a bulkhead. I'll put a bulkhead right here, okay? And then into this bulkhead, I'll put a servo. So we'll have the outer tube, the bearing tube, and we'll have the ski tube inside the bearing tube, and then up above here we'll have a servo. And somehow this will have an arm on it. This will have an arm on it and a connection between those 2 arms. So as the servo rotates, so rotates the ski tube. And this will just be kind of a neat little thing in there. In fact, I might even be able to use a wheel collar on here, which would make removing for maintenance real easy, because water will be able to get up in here. It's pretty watertight, but not 100%. But throw some grease in there, and it's 100% waterproof. So that's my thinking. I'll either Be successful or go hide under a rock. I'll hide under a rock in Iraq. In Iraq. Under a rock in Iraq. Until then, boys and girls, jet out.